Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Discovery Series. That's what we're doing today. I'm so excited that you're here. If you guys could say hi in the chat box, that would be awesome, because it's always great to see who's here and where people are from. So be sure and share in the chat box. That's also the best place to ask questions. And so be sure to take a minute and just add your questions into the chat box, because that's where I'll be looking. So the Discovery Series, what is it? Well, the Discovery Series is a series of 6 modules, and during that time, we're going to go through the profile. We're going to go through everything about ph360's application. We're going to talk about the food section and get all those kinds of questions answered, and you guys are going to know so much more about your food when you end this. And we're going to talk about the science behind ph360 and everything that is, and just a couple of the different sciences we'll go into a little deeper, because there's 15 different sciences in ph360. So it's, it's 10,000 data points and like 15 layers of science. And so it's just really complex and detailed. And so we're going to unravel a little bit of that for you and let you in on some of what we've got going at ph360. And then tomorrow we're going to be talking with, about all the other sections. So the social, the mind, and the talents, and the place. And when we go through that, you guys are going to get a chance to really see how important those sections are. I mean, right now, you might even think just food and exercise are all you need to be looking at. A lot of people join ph360 just for the food, but there's so much more. And so we're going to share with you all the reasons why your epigenetic factors are so vital and why they're so important. And we're also going to talk more about our ph360 biotypes. And we are going to finish up with an awesome future of ph360. And you're going to get to hear about the infamous ph360i. So it's going to be really cool. All right. So right before we start, I just want to share a little bit about our ph360 mission with you. I know it seems like, oh, we're just this fun health app and all of that, but we're here for such a bigger reason. And we hope you are too, because what we're here for is to actually transform health on the planet. When people are in charge of their own personal health, and when they can prevent a disease or prevent an inflammation before it happens, that's what ph360 is for. That's what our mission is to, by the time that we go through one more generation, we want everyone to have this power of prevention in their own hands, so that they don't even have to develop the diseases or develop the pain or the suffering that so many people are developing at this point. And so that's our mission, and that's why we're so excited about it and why we want to get out there and share it with everybody. So I just wanted to say, hey, I can see all your guys' names there in the chat box. That's really cool. Thanks for saying hi. And I'm super happy you're here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the profile. And I'm going to start by just going through a normal profile. We're going to do an update. You guys are going to get to see all the questions and all of that, so that you can get really clear about how to use the profile. There may be some questions that you have, and there are some new things for those of you that have already been part of the Hangouts or that sort of thing. So here we go. All right. So some of you may have seen this this page, and on this page you're probably thinking, what is that, or that sort of thing. And so I just want to let all of you know that that page is the that page is just for us to get a good idea of how you're doing. That does not impact your profile at all. It's only for us to get an idea of how you're doing. So, so when you're looking at that page, you just click the buttons here. You can go to great, you can go to okay, great, okay, great. just share with us how you're doing and what's going on for you with your ph360. And then we will be noticing that in the back end, but it's not anything that you need to worry about. If you see this and you miss it, it's okay. If you don't see it at all, it's okay. So just letting you know what that is. Okay, and so now we get started. When you press that, you're back into a profile. We're using someone's profile today, and I'm going to show you how to do an update. But first, I want to go through the profile itself. So we're going to look at, here are the Facebook, the Twitter, and the YouTube. And so you can literally link to those right here on your desktop. If you want to change anything about your account, you just click on the little button by the name, you go to My Account, you open it up, and you can see here that if you wanted to change your name, you'd have to contact us, but email address, the country that you're from, the state, the phone, you can add all of those. If you want to switch back and forth between metric and inches, that's no problem. If you want to change your birthday, you'll need to contact us. And there is a great place over here for you to add a profile picture. Sometimes it's fun to take a picture in your exercise clothes or that sort of thing and just see that progression of pictures as you go through your ph360, because your body is going to change. I'm not saying that you're all going to lose weight. You may be really thin, but your body is going to be changing as you become more naturally you, because that's what ph360 is all about. It's all about you becoming more naturally you. And so you can upload that picture here. It's really easy. Just click there. And let's save the details here. Okay, great. Now, we've got a blog. The ph360 blog is right here on your page. That's an awesome place to go. You can go there and read all sorts of different articles. If any of you would love to write a blog article, we're always looking for bloggers in our community to be able to share their gifts and resources with us. Here, this is vital. Oh my goodness, you guys, this is such a great page. Here on the resources page, when you click resources, this is everything about ph360 at your fingertips. So you'll have all the different series, that the Discovery series will be in here eventually. Foods Explained are 4 food videos that Matt and Daniela Remy did about the science of the food. Integrating ph360 has all sorts of handy dandy how to use your foods to make recipes, and how to just create something out of nothing, and also how to get around the rest of the profile besides the foods. That's all there. If you go to the coaching area, you can see that in this coaching area, when you click here, there is 4 different levels of coaching. So you've got this personal health coaching here is actually if you want a personal health coach, which means that you hire a personal health coach from ph360. And you'll get to hear more about that when Diana's on about the personal health coaches. If you want to sign up for a specialized hangout, that's here. These are small group hangouts, and those are specialized topics. ph360 courses are the ph360 foundation course, and also the coaches course. And so those are there, and the tutorials are individual tutorials for each section. If you're confused or you need some help, you can just go there and they will, and you can discover a whole bunch of great things there. All right, now let's see. Okay. So that's subscribe to YouTube. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, that's where we do all of our YouTubes. All of our videos are there, so that's great. If you want to like us on Facebook, that's fantastic. If you want to be in the Facebook group and you're not yet, then all you need to do is go to send a note to support@ph360.me and request to join our Facebook group. We have a very secret Facebook group because we wanted to make sure all of your information is private. And in doing that, because we have over 1,000 members of our group, we have to bring you in through being friends with one of us. And so that friend is me, Jules. Jules ph360 is actually that friend. It's not my personal account, but it's the ph360 account. So you friend me and then you unfriend, no problem. And we get you into the group. Following us on Instagram is really fun because you'll get to see all sorts of pictures and different different items that are coming up in ph360. You see a lot of new things too. Here in My Virtual Coach, this is where you will find your 8-week virtual coach. That is here. For some reason, that's not working. Okay. Let's go to, you can see here's the dashboard, and you can see that here we've got all of the areas of your ph360 profile. So now we're going to go through an update. All right. Clicking the update button. Okay, so when you're going to do an update, this box comes up. An update is when you do all your measurements over again and you answer your questions again. And these updates are really important because your body, even though you may not think your body is changing, or you might even think it got worse, you can see that when you do your updates, it actually tracks the record of everything that's happening. So it's going to be really awesome for you to be able to see that. So you want to do updates. Initially, you want to do them about every 2 weeks, and then eventually maybe once a month. And then after that, maybe every 2 months after a year or so, once you've really leveled out and are going smooth. So here's where you would click this. If you're continuing an unfinished session, you would click that. If you're fixing an incorrect entry in your current profile, you would click that. But in order to record new measurements and have it track correctly in your track section, you must click record new measurements. Now for this time, because I'm not going to be recording measurements, I'm just going to be going through the profile. I'm just going to get into the profile by clicking this. So if you just want to see something, you can click one of the other buttons. All right, so now when you're doing your measurements, you want to do all your measurements at the same time, not weigh yourself one time and then come back and do the measurements. The ph360 results are based on ratios of your measurements, and that's based on a moment in time. So you do all of your measurements and your and at one time. And what I would suggest is buying a scale. You can get a really inexpensive scale at the department store, and measuring your height, actually measuring it, because sometimes we're taller and sometimes we're shorter than we think we are. So that's really important. Now the BFI is something that that you can add yourself, and you can add that anytime that you want, but it's not required. If you know your BFI, you can put your BFI in there. BFI is body fat index. If you don't know your BFI, ph360 is going to calculate it anyways, and so no worries. All right, so now let's go to the next section. Okay, so these measurements, I wanted to show you just a couple of little things. First of all, on the side here, you can see that we're giving you a verbal directive of how to do the measurement. Now, if you click on this little area here, there's actually a video that you can play that will show you how to do the measurements.
Measure the circumference of your cranium along the line of your eyebrows. Keeping your head held high and looking forward, wrap the tape measure around the largest part of your head above your ears. Try to keep your hair out of the way, or keep the tape measure tight to minimize the inclusion of your hair in the measurement.
All right, so that gives you an idea that we've put it in so that you can read it, you can see it, and you can watch a video if you need to. So that's no problem. All right, so here we've got the forehead. The forehead's fairly simple. In the jaw area, I just want to go over the jaw because sometimes people have a little confusion with the jaw. And so in the jaw area, I want you all to reach up to your ear, and I want you to move your jaw up and down, and just feel your jaw going up and down, and then feel that point where your jaw is like hinging. You can feel it right by your ear. And that's the tip point of where you want to be. There's usually like a little indentation in your head right there. And so you put the tip there, you just pull it gently around your jaw, and then measure the midpoint in your chin for the jaw. Neck is explainable. There's no situation there, except for men, you definitely want to measure below the Adam's apple. That's the only thing there. Chest-wise, you want to get tape up in the back, and you can watch the videos for all of these. These are all fairly explanatory. Of course, the gluteus maximus is the maximus of the gluteus, and so you want to measure the maximum portion of your glute. In the elbow, the wrist, the hand length, sometimes the hand length is a little harder to measure. You're going to want to bend your hand, and you'll see a crease. When you bend your hand, everybody just put your left hand up, because you're always measuring the items on your non-dominant side. Now, I'm right-handed, so my left is my non-dominant. If you're left-handed, then your right would be your non-dominant. So raise your hand. Oh, and if you're ambidextrous, then use your left side. Okay, so when you put your wrist up and just kind of bend your wrist in front of you, you'll start to see these creases in your wrist. And you'll see the big crease that's right at the base of the palm. That's the beginning of the measurement. So you measure from there all the way to the tip of the finger, just pulling it tight and straight. And then you measure the palm. All right. And now with the mid-thigh, mid-thigh is always fun. In fact, if I was you, I'd watch the mid-thigh video. It's very good. Teaches you how to sense where your muscle is and to go to the actual mid-thigh. I measure every time for this. I never guess where my mid-thigh is. I always measure each time. Knee is just right around the top of the knee, right over the kneecap and going through the knee there. Calf, ankle, and foot length. Now, foot length is a little tricky because you need to measure from the very tip of your longest toe all the way back to the back of your heel, but not necessarily your foot pad. Your heel goes back a bit further. So it's best, the way I do it is I stand up against the wall, I place the measuring tape on the floor up against the wall with the 0 at the wall. And then I pull it out straight, and then I step on it and I look down. So that's how I measure my foot. So just letting you know that. These are not my measurements, by the way. I have a much shorter foot than that. Okay, let's go through the questions now. We're going to do this pretty quick because we have a lot of things to cover in this, and I want to make sure I can get to questions. We're going to have questions and answers later. In your chat box, there's actually a place where you can mark a question. If you mark the question, it turns it orange, and it's a lot easier for me to see. So you might want to try that. Okay, so skin colors. Pale freckled is like a person who most of the time they have red hair, or even maybe a kind of a carrot colored hair and orange hair, and they've got lots of freckles, and their skin on their bum is extremely pale, and they're very sensitive to light. So that's that person. The light yellow is a person who's generally from an Asian country. Some people are getting confused in their choices because they're thinking, oh, my skin hue's a little yellow, or it's a little red, or they don't know. Well, you could have just regular medium light skin and it's a little yellow, or it's a little red, and that's still medium light. Light yellow would be a person from one of the Asian countries. Medium light is someone who's from a European type country where there's more of a Caucasian type light medium. Olive has that. They were born with kind of that glow, and you can even see it on their bum. That they just have olive skin, and it's really nice. And then the tanned is just a little bit darker. And then light brown, dark brown, and very dark brown are all variations typically of African American skin. Sometimes that could be from India or someplace else too. So, just noticing that and seeing where you fit in there. And so let's see. Now on your face, acne and pimples, that means that you really have acne and pimples, not just a couple here and there, not just a couple here and there. And that this red blotches, you see how red that is and how blotchy that is? That's really that blotchy. If you just have a little red mark or a pimple here and there, that doesn't count. Or if you can see one capillary but not all this, that doesn't really count either. You want it to be like a series of these. Some people mark a lot of these things. It tends to restrict your diet incredibly, and really create a very limited situation for you if you've mismarked some of these. So this is really your acne breakout. This is really red blotches like rosacea or something. And this is a series of capillaries. Wrinkles. Now you guys are going to love this because some of us have said, oh yeah, I've got wrinkles. But now when you look in the mirror and you just look in the mirror and you don't smile, do you have wrinkles? Wrinkles show up even then. We're not talking about the mouth smile lines or a little crease that might be around your eye. We're talking about the wrinkles that crisscross on your face, and those are wrinkles. So be sure and mark those. Moles are easy. Flaky skin means really flaky, you guys. If it's not doing this on your face, then it's not flaky skin. So, all right. And now for hair color. Sometimes you guys have to kind of go with the whole thing with these hair colors. You've got to think about what was your natural color hair before you dyed it. And this isn't when you were a kid. Sometimes people are blonde when they're kids and then it turns brown when they get to be adults. Their natural hair color would be brown then. So just go through these and find the one that you feel is closest. Light blonde could be a little darker than that, so don't feel like it has to be that light, that you have to have platinum hair in order to check that one. If your hair is lighter than the blonde, then you'd want to check light blonde, okay? Now, do you have gray hair? Oh, that's where you mark it. Now, you have to be honest. This is your natural color hair, right? And really, I had somebody look at my hair to see where I was personally, because I thought I was like a quarter of the hair gray, but I really couldn't see my hair. And when I had someone else look at it, they said I was about half. And so that's something that's really important, you know, for you to maybe check in with somebody else, but, you know, get the best there. That's a good question. It's very important. And how is your hair without perms or treatments? Okay, so coily hair and very tight curls are, this is typically an African American type hair. And then this could be could go either way. Loose curly, if your hair is a little curly, if it's not straight, it's loose curly. If it's straight, it's here. Brittle hair means that literally it's breaking off in your hands. I mean, it's so brittle that it just breaks apart. And so if your hair is not that brittle, do not mark that one. Dry hair means that literally it looks like coarse straw and it's really dry. And then that would be that one, not just a little dry or you like to use dry hair shampoo, that sort of thing. Okay, and then oily hair means literally that your hair is very oily. Okay, so that would not be after a few days, but just it kind of tends to be oily all the time. Dandruff, you got that. Thick hair is lots of hair. Some people say they have fine hair and then they wonder, they said they have lots of fine hair. Well, the telling point is your ponytail. If your ponytail is really thick, then your ponytail is definitely a thick hair. But if you've got lots of fine hair and your ponytail is not that thick, then it's just fine hair. All right. Now, this is really a fun one because I don't know if you guys notice this, but you can hover over each of these and you can see exactly what it means. So a widow's peak is where there's a hairline formed in the middle of the forehead. That would be something you had as a kid. You still had it as an adult. It's not when your hair starts to recede. Okay, so anyways, and then a high line, you want to be sure and get this one. See a low line here is, let's see the normal. Let's get to the normal. Okay, first normal on a woman is 2 inches to 2.4 inches above the eyebrows. So when you measure above your eyebrows, is it 2 to 2.4, then you're normal. If it's higher than that, then you are a highbrow. And if it's lower than that, you're a lowbrow. All right? That's how you figure it out right there. And now, is your hair falling out? Some people are losing a little hair here and there. We're not talking about hair at the bottom of the shower or anything like that. We're talking about like clumps of hair falling out. And then here, this happens to be a gentleman's profile. And then, you know, full head of hair, and you can go across here and layer those. And for ladies, it's very similar. You'll see pictures for the ladies also. Now here's where the ladies get boofed up a little bit. Do you naturally grow facial hair? And so lots of people have, men wait, let's start with men. Men, if you just grow it in patches, say patches. If you have lots of facial hair and it's all over the place on your neck and your chin, around your jaw, everywhere, then mark lots of facial hair. For women, we have like we kind of have this hair growing on our face and we don't like it. And we're like, hey, I don't like that hair growing on my face. And so we say, oh my gosh, it's horrible. I have to wax it and blah, blah, blah. Well, these are not those white, soft hairs that we're talking about. We're talking about coarse, bristly whiskers. Do you naturally grow coarse, bristly whiskers? Sometimes we have one or two, but you know it now what I'm talking about. So if you only have one or two, then it's very few and sporadic. If you have a bunch of hair but they're still soft and they're not whiskery, then you don't have any. Okay? All right, great. Okay, I'm going to check really quick to see if there's any important questions. Let's see. Oh, hi everybody. Oh my goodness, look at y'all. Yes, there will be a replay of the webinar. It'll be within 24 hours. Great. Okay. Just go ahead and ask your questions in the chat box if you can't find the question area, no problem. All right, color of eyes. You can go by these colors, but don't, you know what hazel eyes are and you know what green eyes are. Now here's where there might be just a little bit of challenge. Some people have light eyes, and light eyes could be green, gray, or blue. And so if you have light eyes, then that could be a light blue eye. I have light green eyes, but mine are still, I still check light blue because they're so light, okay? And now here in this next section, dry eyes are eyes that have a condition called dry eyes. It's not when you've been looking at the computer for a long time or every once in a while you use drops. It's actually a condition. So if you don't have the condition dry eyes, do not mark that. Puffiness around the eyes. Now this is a big one. Okay, you cannot have puffiness around the eyes, small bags and big bags. It doesn't, they're not all at once. It's either one of them or it's none of them. So puffiness around the eyes, you can see this picture. It's pretty explanatory. It's a little puffy. This one, the bag gets a little deeper and it's a little bigger. And then this one, the bag is big. So that's how you know. So that's this one, that one, and this one. So if you've got all three of those marked or two of them, you need to uncheck two of them and just leave one marked. Now, dark circles under the eye could be in coordination with one of the bags also. You could have bags and dark circles. That's possible. So check your dark circles. Your dark circles will come and go. And as you're updating your profile, if you don't have any dark circles right then, you want to check that off so that you have taken it off. And it's good to be honest in the profile because your ph360 is going to assign you the foods that are going to help to balance whatever is going on in your body at that moment. And so whichever one of these it would be. Yes. All right, here we have the neck and swelling of the neck or frequent laryngitis. Frequent laryngitis would be that you get laryngitis once a year. If it happens once a year, then you have frequent laryngitis. And have you ever been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, or my thyroid has been surgically removed? Sometimes people haven't actually been diagnosed, but they assume or think that they have something. What I do in this case is I don't mark it if I just think I have it, because the profile itself, the algorithm that's behind the profile can see what's going on with you. And if you need something for, like for instance, you think like, oh, I think my thyroid must be hypothyroid because my mom's was hypothyroid. Well, in that case, then you would want to not mark that, because if you haven't been to the doctor and the doctor told you that you have hypothyroid, then do not mark that. The reason why is because you may not be there and you may need some of the foods that it needs to correct that, to correct whatever going on in your body. So you don't want to mark it unless you've been diagnosed with it. All right. That's great. Some people said they had hypothyroidism like, 20 years ago or 10 years ago. That is ever that you were diagnosed with it So I would still mark that, even if it was a long time ago. All right. Okay, now this is a great one. People always get this one crazy. Dry lips are like that. Do you see those lips? That is dry lips. And that means that they're rough, they're red, they're flaking. It's really crazy. Now, not just like my lips are dry, I want some lippy on them and I don't want to, not have any lippy. And so definitely with that one, you want to make sure that if you mark that and they're not looking like that, that you unmark it. Cracked in the middle, and this is right now. Right now, do you have dry lips? Do you have a crack? If you don't have a crack right this minute, unmark it. Cracked in the corners. Frequent cold sores would be every 3 months. So if you get frequent cold sores, mark that. Gums, swollen, bleeding, red, you can mark that. And then cavities in the last 2 years. Great. This one's always fun. You can see here that the person here has a lobe, meaning that it hangs down. And then this person has an ear. I'm sorry, this person has a crease in their lobe. Can you see the creases? I apologize, this was the wrong one. This is the crease. This is the crease. Do you see the creases? That is what they look like. If they're going straight down, and they're due to earrings, that does not count. It's a horizontal crease, and this is exactly what it looks like, okay? Now here, this one, this is a lobe, and this is not a lobe. So if your ear goes straight down in, that's it. Okay, great. Okay, let's see. Striations. Striations come and go, you guys. If you have striations right now, as you do ph360, you will see them disappear. And so mark that if you have them right now. White spots are not places where you hit your finger. It's places where you have a white spot that just came up out of it's on its own accord. Brittle ends look just like this. So if you have loose, like my fingernails are not very strong, but they're not like this. So brittle ends actually look like that. And mycosis is a fungus, and you can see that in the fingers. Do you see the little bumps? That's mycosis. And so if you see the little bumps like this around your fingers, you have mycosis. Missing lunulas, this is always a fun one. Okay, so look at your hands. Just hold your hands out in front of you and look at your lunulas. Almost everybody has a thumb lunula, and so you'll see that. And then most people have a pointer finger lunula too. And then sometimes as you go across the fingers, they get smaller and smaller until maybe even the pinky doesn't have one at all. Now, if your pinky doesn't have one, and your ring finger doesn't have one, and your middle finger doesn't have one, then you are missing lunulas. But if you have all the fingers except for the pinky, then you are not missing lunulas. All right? Okay, now this is always another fun one. Okay, which finger is longer? Okay, so put your hands flat, your arms straight out on a table. Put your hands flat and then put your hands down on the table and make sure that your wrist is straight and your arm is straight. And now look down at your hands from that position and see, is your ring finger longer or is your index finger longer? The middle finger is always longer, but we're only looking at the 2 fingers, the middle and the index. The ring and the index. Okay, so put your hands down on the table. Now, if one of them is longer and the other one looks even, keep looking because generally it's a little shorter or a little longer. So you'll be able to see that. And if they both look the same, then that answer is right here. And then there's an answer for one's longer on one side, one's longer on the other side, both of the index and both of the ring. So, okay? All right. Now, between the ages of 7 and 11, if you did not have crooked teeth when you were a little kid, that means that they were growing all over the place and like twisting and really funky when you were little. That's what crooked teeth is. That isn't when you like if you sucked your thumb and pulled your teeth out of whack. This is something that naturally happened to you. And very lean and lanky is really skinny. I mean, so skinny that people called you scarecrow, skeleton, things like that, that you're just crazy skinny. So very lean and lanky is not petite, and it's usually a tall person, so a taller for their age kind of thing. So if you weren't really super skinny, almost to the point where it looked like you were going to break, that's not you. Have you ever had any of the following? Spinal operations, hernias, scoliosis, that sort of thing. That one's self-explanatory. And have you ever been diagnosed with any of these? Now, if you had a childhood bronchitis and you haven't had it since childhood, I would mark it as none of the above. The same with asthma. If you had a childhood asthma, but you have not had asthma since you were a child, then do not mark that. Okay, legs. Varicose veins. Wow, you can see that's a big varicose vein. Sometimes people get capillaries and varicose veins mixed up. If your varicose veins are that big, then you definitely mark it. If you've got something that isn't really pronounced, it may not be a varicose vein. You can always take a picture of something and send it to support@ph360.me, and we'll look at it and see if it's whatever you're wondering about. Just feel free to do that. And then capillaries would be like this mini. If you have one or two, that doesn't really count. Bow legs, when you stand and you put your feet on the ground together, what happens? Are your knees apart? Then that's bow legs. If your knees go together, that's knock knees. But if they're just normally standing next to each other, that's none of the above. Hyperextension, some people had a hyperextension when they were kids, but now they don't. That is not hyperextension. If you were more able to hyperextend and now you can't, then hyperextension is non-existent in the current theme of things. These things can change, you guys. As you go through your ph360, and if you start out with bow legs, it'll actually change as you go. I'll give you an example of that in a minute. Knee operations, cramps in the calf muscle. Okay, this is a good one. Okay, so bunions, you see bunions. If you have bunions, be sure and mark that, but that's do you have them now, not have you had them. Flat arches, that's actually condition, not just like I think I have flat arches. Check and see, do you really have flat arches? This is a great one because this is one where I have my weight distributed on the inside sometimes, and then it will completely transform and I'll be on the on the ground, basically in the middle of my foot. That's what happened. I had it like this, and then it went back to just the normal way of standing. So if I hadn't checked it, I wouldn't have even known. Some people go in and they just skip all these things and think that they're all the same, but they're not. Your body is always changing. And that's the goal of ph360. And it's changing in ways that you don't even realize or that you're not going to notice until you do these updates. So it's really fun. Okay, and nail fungus, you guys can figure all that out. Oh, cracked heels. This means there's a fissure in your foot, a big cracked fissure. So if that's not a fissure, don't mark that one. Okay, now, okay, so in the brain, we've got some brain health here, epilepsy, any kind of brain problem, sleep disturbances due to an overactive mind. That means that you can't sleep, you're laying there and your mind's just going woo, 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 like that. It doesn't mean you wake up sometimes or that sort of thing. It's just like a really ongoing thing. Sluggish mind means that you just can't get going. It doesn't mean that you wish you were more speedy. It just means, I mean, this is like a serious thing, you guys. Sluggish mind means it's just impossible. Everything feels like impossible. So if you're not feeling like that, then you're not sluggish mind. Your mind is just not working quite as fast as you want it to. And as you do your ph360, you will notice that it gets better and better and better. Okay, so difficulty concentrating, that means that you can't hold your thoughts, period. I mean, if you can hold your thoughts and, look at something and concentrate on something, it's not you. This is another condition, that's really hard for people, and they just flit around and they can't stay on a topic and all of that. So that may be you, and if it is, then mark it. Memory loss means really memory loss. Like you can't remember anything. You forget people's names. And I lose my keys all the time. I've gotten better about putting it in the right place. And I'm actually getting better in general about remembering things. So I'm really excited. But memory loss can be, that is like serious memory loss, going towards one of the conditions like Alzheimer's or dementia, that sort of thing. Okay, last 10 years, have you ever had an autoimmune disease or osteoporosis or osteopenia? Those you know. 5 years, diabetes, Meniere's disease. If you don't know any of these or what they mean, then you would want to check with support at ph360.me if you don't understand it, and that sort of thing. Okay, so there you go. And these are diagnosed, that you've been diagnosed with these, right? And that you've had these. And we put in, we added some new categories in this area, so you may not have even seen them if you haven't updated lately. But this is a condition where your belly is sticking out that much, and then down below we have bloated, which is different. So in the last 2 years, have you ever been diagnosed with any of these? And so if you've been diagnosed with candida or any other fungal infection, HPV, cystitis, 2 or more episodes of, okay? So that's what that is in the last 2 years. And in the last 2 months, have you suffered from any of the following? And this is not just, I think I am, this is like you really are. And so that sort of thing. Okay, now under stress, you know that. Oh, people always get stuck on this cancer one. You have to click on the box and then you can scroll down in the box. And the no, I haven't been diagnosed with any is at the bottom. Okay. Now this is your family history. I would call people if they're still alive, give them a call. If they're not, go by the best of your memory. If you don't remember that anybody had some of these things, probably they didn't. And so you can just go through these and answer them. When you get down to the heritage of your mother and your father, you're just putting in the countries of the most heritage. Some of us are, you know, mixtures of 5 or 6 different things. And so you just put down the largest amount of the ancestry in this box. And that's great. And it's awesome because we have so many people from all over the world. Okay, just let me look and see. I'm going to look at questions for just a minute and see if anybody has a question. Okay, I can see. Oh, okay. So Ruth, the question would be for you. If you can answer this in another question, just answer this for me. When you push your cuticles back, how many of them can you see the lunula? How many of them do you not see the lunula when you don't push your cuticles back? And then when you push them back, how many do you see? Okay, that's a question. That's great. Okay, and let's see. When you're looking at somebody asked about their flip-flops, kind of they wear on the inside. I'm not talking about measuring this particular aspect that way. The way you measure it is you go stand on a hard surface floor. You kind of go back and forth on your feet, you know, just leveling out your balance, and then you end up on your 2 feet. And when you're standing on your 2 bare feet on this hard surface, can you feel it leaning to the inside, to the outside, or is it in the middle? That's how you measure that. Let's see. Yeah, Ruth, that one is not your arthritis in your shoulder is osteo, and it is not rheumatoid arthritis. And I think we would need to answer that. Let's answer that in a little bit. I'm going to post that answer in the Facebook group for everybody so that they can see it. I don't know the answer to that question, Ruth. I'm sorry. Let's see. Yep, if you've been told you're in the early stages of osteoporosis and that you diagnosed with that, then you would want to mark that. If you're not diagnosed with it yet, then don't mark it, and we'll get it balanced. Okay, awesome. And I did not see the question about high cholesterol. So let's go back to the group now. And here we go through the questions again. I'll stop back and answer questions in a few minutes. No problem. Okay. All right. So now this is the fun stuff. Exercise. All right. Now exercise. In the minds of ph360, what exercise means is that your heart rate is up and you are sweating. So sweating is a vital aspect of exercise. And some of us, like, we don't like to sweat, or we don't want to do that kind of exercise. And depending on your body and your personalized, program, you may need to exercise and sweat. And so sometimes that can be the reason why your body's out of balance, is because you're not exercising the way that you normally would. And so we'll talk more about that when we go through the exercise section. Living a sedentary lifestyle means that you are, seated for more than 8 hours a day with little or no exercise other than basic walking. So if you're just walking and you're sitting, that's sedentary. If you're exercising a little, people who say, oh, I'm out in the garden all the time, I could go with exercising a little. But exercising in the garden and like lifting heavy things, really heavy things, and bringing your heart rate up for a prolonged period of time. We're bringing your heart rate up for, in your biotype, in your program, it'll tell you exactly how long. Could be between 30 and 60 minutes that you need to bring your heart rate up. I don't know exactly what it is because it's in your profile. But when you bring your heart rate up, then that's how long you need to have it consistently up. Not, oh, I lifted this one heavy thing and then I put it down and then I worked for a little while. So it's a little bit more like that. All right. And you can see the rest of them. They're pretty self-explanatory. Here, this is really important to know what you want to do with yourself. Do you want to maintain your size and shape? Do you want to gain muscle mass, lose fat, or tone your body? Now, watch out when you mark all these, because if you mark these, your profile is going to give you that protocol. So if you mark, I want to lose fat, it's going to take out the things that maybe would be okay for you, but that is not okay if you want to lose fat. And so, watch out for that if you're not really having a lot of fat to lose, because sometimes your diet can get really restrictive and you're like, hey, wait a minute. Now, here's the other thing about that. When it in the beginning, you're going to see the most restrictive issue that you'll ever see, because you're starting from scratch and it's starting in the beginning. Now, once you have been doing your ph360, even if you can't see the changes, your body is changing and you'll keep doing the measurements, you will notice as you go that foods will start coming back into your program. You may not lose a lot of weight, but your body will start shifting and you'll start looking different. And people will start noticing that you look different. And people will start saying, wow, you really look different. And so you're going to have that experience. And so make sure that you mark the ones here that are really important for you. If you have any injuries or physical limitations that restrict you from performing physical exercises, you want to add those here. This is where you put it in. Now, in your exercise program, if it gives you an exercise that uses one of these, just skip it to go to the next exercise, because the program can see into your body and it may see that, there's some things that, I'll give you an example. My son did the profile and my son has broken almost all the bones on his left side of his body. It's really crazy. I mean, he just broke his arm, his leg, his collarbone. There were all these bones that were broken on the left side. When he did his ph360, when you go into coach's corner, which is what the coaches can see when you get a personal health coach, in his profile, it says specifically that you have a propensity in the left side of your body to a tendency for bone breakage. So watch out. Now, was that meaning that he actually has that propensity, or was it noticing that he had already broken all those bones? I can't exactly say from the science aspect, but I can say that it knew that there's nothing, we didn't say, there was nothing checked here. There was nothing that said anything about those bones because he's young and he would have never checked any of those boxes. But when he did the profile, it knew. And so your profile knows a lot of stuff that is in the background. Okay, are you currently, this is important, if you're retired, and that's good, unemployed, no problem. Okay, where do you spend most of your working hours? That's pretty easy. If there's any questions about any of these, you can always email support@ph360.me and we'll help you. This is if you're daily cleaning or like a hairstylist or someone like that might have some of those issues. Okay, frequent flyer miles how frequently do you fly in a given year? when you go up and down, that's 1 time. Every time you go up and down, if you make 2 legs in a trip, then it's up and down, that's 2 times. So even 1 flight somewhere with up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down would be 4 times for the round trip. Okay, so that's how you count those. Traveling on a train or a long-haul bus, do you frequently drive more than 20 miles or 30 kilometers in a single trip in any given week? So if you drive in the car a lot, that's what that's really important for the profile to know. Okay, now here, this is a big area. Sometimes people click multiple on this. You know, they click that they're fat-free, that they're kosher, that they're diabetic, and this is not set up to do that. If you do that, your diet will be your foods will be very restricted. Here's what I do, which is really fun, and you guys can do this and then change it later if you want to click one of the others. I check no that I don't have a special diet because I want to see what does ph360 tell me is natural for my body. What is it saying without me trying to tell it what it should say? And so I like to look at it like that. And then you can always come back in and correct an answer, up front, and then just come in and click whichever one you want. Now, sometimes a person who naturally should be having meats is a vegan or a vegetarian. And in that case, it's really important that you know that the foods are still going to show meats for you. It's not because we're being disrespectful of your choice, but it's because the foods that are naturally best for your body might include that. When you check vegan or vegetarian, it will lower the amount of it, but it won't take it out completely. And so just warning you about that, and just skip over it. If you don't want to have meat, then don't meat. Don't do that. But only check one of these if possible. Food allergies, you guys can put those in. Sometimes you put in the food allergies, and the thing is that you have to click each individual food. If you say soy, it only takes out soy in the food program. It doesn't take out soy milk or soy cheese or any of the other soys. So, watch out for that, because that can really do you in if you thought that it was going to do that for you. So you want to check, like here, if we said soy, let's just go soy. Okay, so see how there's all those listed there? You have to check in all of those if you want soy to be gone. It will not eliminate any of those if you don't write the whole word there. Okay, so you have to write the whole word and then click add. And this will get easier as time goes by. It will actually, I think you guys have noticed all kinds of awesome stuff in the profile, right? Who loves the Y's? Anybody love the Y section? Tell me in the chat box. I'd love to hear that. If you haven't seen the Y section, it's because you haven't been to your ph360 profile lately. Up at the top, it says that you can be a beta tester. Beta testers are amazing, and just go to the Y section. Okay. How often do you eat dairy in a week? This is exactly like when you answer this, it's how much did you eat last week? Not generally or once in a while or whatever. What's your pattern, basically. Smoking is easy. Yeah, those are all good. Try not to answer not sure in as many places as possible. Try to answer the question instead of saying not sure. Even if you're just kind of generalizing the answer, that's better than saying not sure. Describe your living conditions. Now, here's the very last page, and this is where, how Matt's always talking about, and Jennifer talked about this too, and other people, about how you can take your profile, and then whenever you travel somewhere, that you can change where you are. Well, here's where it is. So where did you spend the most time growing up? And then here, if you're traveling somewhere, it does say the past 3 months, but you can still just change it for the trip that you're doing and just see if there's any new foods or any suggestions that might come in that you don't normally get in that area. Sometimes when we travel to our prime places, which we're going to talk about the places tomorrow, all of the places, the mind, and all the other sections we'll talk in the module number 4. Okay, great. So now we're here to the end, and we click Get My Results. That just takes a couple minutes. I'll show you guys a little sneaky trick about the next part. I probably shouldn't show you, but I'm going to. It's coming. Okay, so see how these bubbles are coming up right now? You can scroll all the way down to the bottom and just find the little hand and then click on it. Secret. Okay, so there you go. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a general get around the profile. We're not going to talk about any of the specifics. We're only going to be getting around the profile. But before I do that, I'm just going to look and see if there were any more questions. If you're disabled, retired, that's a good one. Yeah, that's great for you, Denise. And Lynn, you're in remission. Oh, that's awesome. So happy to hear that. I would mark on that one, then I would mark, was it in the last 2 years? If it was in the last 2 years, I would mark it as possibly that you still had it. Just so that we firm up any kind of, support you to keep going in that direction. But if it was further back than that, I would say no. Let's see. And then Denise, teeth and gums. Oh, if you have dentures? Well, that's a good question, Denise. Okay, so if you don't have any of those issues, you just click none of the above. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Adriana, that is a question. Your question about high cholesterol and the variations, that is a question for a health coach. So if you're interested in doing that, you can connect with support at ph360.me and they'll help you to get to the coaches. Coaching is www.ph360.me/coaching, and it's also in your resources area. You can find the coaches there. So love that. And oh, Rosie, that's such a good question. Where is the why? Okay, well, let's look and we'll see if it's here in this profile. We'll go to the food section. Foods. What happened is at the top of your food section. Oh, let's go to the full foods list here. Show you the why. Okay, now here's where the why section is, you guys, and this is cool stuff. Okay, so when you go to your full list of your food section, this is where you want to know why. And so we're incorporating this right now into the section. And what it shows is, like, for instance, I'm going to say yes, please here so you can see what I'm talking about. Yes, please. I want to know why. I hope I don't have to log in and log out. That's where it is, okay? Right there. So let's just keep going and we're gonna get through this. And what it does is it adds all of the why areas here to your profile. I could show you that, actually. I'll show you that later in my profile, and that'll be in our next module that starts at 10:30. So when we start the 10:30, oh, here it is. Okay, so for instance, this is this person's #1 food, and it says about this food, and it's talking about the broccolini here, and then why is it on my list? And it gives you all the reasons why it's on the list. So you'll be able to see that. So go into your full food list and you'll be able to get all this information, okay? So let's go back to the page just before. And I'm gonna just take a cruise around here. Okay, so here is sorting your food list. You can click this open. Usually what I do, unless I'm looking for something specific, I usually say all, especially when I'm going to the grocery store. If I'm gonna go to the grocery store, I click all. I click foods to eat. Here I click 100 because I wanna see the top, like I wanna see as many foods as possible. And then I sort. Now what this does is it opens up the list and you can see for this person, broccolini, carrots, cabbage, broccoli, spinach, potatoes, chives. Wow, these are all 5-star foods. There's lots of 5 smiley foods there. That's great. And so you can get an idea now of what is your most important foods. When I go shopping, I put this on my iPhone. I just pull up the web in a Chrome browser on my iPhone, and I input my login. And then when this comes up, I am simply use this list right here. It's just like this. And I just buy everything on the very first page, my top 100 foods. That's how I go shopping. I don't even look at the rest of them because what good would it do? So it's all good. You could go to the second page on this one. He's got 4 stars, 3 stars. I mean, you can definitely go back into your other foods. Some of you don't have as many 5 smileys. That means that if you've got more 3 smileys, 2 smileys, 1 smileys, you need more variety. But we are going to talk about foods in our next session, and it's going to be with Daniela Remy, and it's going to be amazing. So you don't need to worry about that right now. I'm just trying to teach you how to get around. If you want to print your list, you click here and it will take you to print, and you can print it. But here's the thing, you guys, whenever you're going, oh, you guys probably can't see where the print list came up, can you? I think you're still on the other one. When you guys are going shopping, remember to do your update just before you go shopping, so you have your newest list. It's really important. I've had so many people who have written me and said, oh my gosh, I just went shopping and then I updated. And so they bought the wrong foods. And so be sure and do that. And you guys, over the course of time, you're going to get so much. Your body's going to improve so much. You'll really start seeing results in about 3 months. I mean, really strong results in 3 to 6 months. And, you know, it takes to balance a bigger problem, or if you've had an issue, then it's going to take longer to balance. But you will notice changes. There's still people who are having changes over the course of a year. And there's some people that have been doing ph360 for 1.5 years, and they're experiencing changes even now, noticing things that are changing. And so it's really a long-term thing. It's not like something, because ph360 is going to prevent diseases, prevent you from getting whatever it is. It's going to balance you, and then it's going to prevent you from getting more of whatever it is, and keep you vibrant as you're aging, as you're going through life, as you go through stresses and that sort of thing. And so you definitely want to stick with it, and consider that ph360 is a long-term project. Okay, in each area, I'm just going to do a basic. We're going to go over all of these tomorrow morning in a longer sense. So this is like the place area, and I'm not going to talk about all of these areas because we are going to talk about this tomorrow morning. But I do want to show you this, explore this page. If you push explore this page, it teaches you the buttons and what they mean on that page. So you can do that, and then if you just click this little X, it will go off. And then the secret is giving you some science behind the place. What is it? How did we even come up with this? Or what makes us think the place is important? This is part of our geoscience, and it's really fun. It's such a fascinating topic. One of these times I'm going to have Matt do a program on it. So that's that, and you can just click out here and it goes away. And then did you know? These are little facts and tips that you can see that you can just keep going through and just looking at. And so they're really interesting. You'll learn all kinds of little tidbits of information in here. Okay, all right. And so that's basically in all of your areas. You have the same situation, in each little area. And we're going to, again, I said we'll go through that more tomorrow. I do want to talk about the track section today because we're not going to talk about that tomorrow. In the track section, you can see the track record of all of your measurements, and every time that you've put your ph360 measurements in and you're answered your questions, it's in this area. So you can see on this day, it's Tuesday, August 26th. Now this only works if you use the update my full measurements. If you just go in and change a couple measurements, first of all, if you change a couple measurements, you are getting incorrect data because it's the ratios of all the measurements. So that would not be something to do. But when you go in and you change all the measurements and you do a full update, it will track right here, and pretty soon you'll have this little track record of what's going on. Now up here in body comp, if you push that down, you can see there's weight. If you click here, here's BMI, that's body mass index. So this person is in the normal range, and you can see these different times that they were along the way. And then when you go down to BFI, that's body fat index, this person has lean so they don't have very much fat. And so then when you click to water content, how much water do they have in their body? This is, it says he's got high water content for his, even though he's lean and all of that, he's got high water content. And so the profile would be giving him something to balance that. Lean body weight, he's high on that end. He's going up from the normal up to the high. Okay, and then measurements, you can see here. This is the measurements of the head. You can see, if you click on each one of these, you can see what they are. That's the jaw, there's the chest, there's the rib cage, there's the waist, there's the glutes. You just click on them and you can see they'll create a line if you've done more measurements. This person's only just logged in once. It's one that I set up actually. Okay, healthy habits index. This is how healthy are your habits. This is not are you healthy. So healthy habits index means you're exercising, that you're, that you're doing a good thing for your body, that you're doing the things your body needs. And so that is here for him. All right, now let's see. I wanted to talk to you one more thing about water. We have a new water section coming. It isn't here yet, but we will be bringing water to you in the next, over the next year. I'm not sure when it's coming, but there will be a section on water and which water is best for you. Okay, so track section is where you can see, how you're doing in all these different areas. And like I said, it does, remember I told you it actually does your body fat index. This person's body fat index is 13.3, which is pretty low. So anyways, that is, it will measure it for you. The program can do that. All right, I'm going to check back and see if there's any questions. Let's see. Okay. Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. Okay, I got those. If you've had a cancer diagnosis and it's more than 5 years ago, you don't need to talk about it. Once you've been declared that you've been cured. Let's see. Oh, Jeremy, thank you so much for saying it looks really awesome. And Jeremy, you're only in the first section. I mean, this is like nothing. Wait till you see the rest of the program that we're going to put on this weekend. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is the most boring part, is the profile. And so once we get through this, you guys are going to love it. Just keep watching, Jeremy. And I want you to see if you can kind of see as you go through how this might be applicable, because I think what you'll notice is that when you do your profile for ph360, it gives you the diet that's specifically for you, including things like it's even broader than the blood type diet, I think. But check it out and see what you think after we go through it. Let's see. Yeah, organic is really awesome, you guys. We're going to talk more about food next time at 10:30. We're going to talk more about food. We're going to actually talk about food. Then we're going to have a little break that's going to come up in about 5 minutes. We're going to have a break, and we're going to come back. You're going to log in with the same login that you had last time, only it'll be a new webinar. So super excited. Okay. Oh, the secret to learn more about your place? We're going to talk about the place tomorrow, Rosie. So you'll get to learn all about that. Okay. All right. So you guys, all right. So I'm so excited that, let's see. Let me see. Okay. I'm going to take that off. Whoops. Hey, there I am. Hi, everybody. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to, I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. I think we learned a lot about the profile and about getting around the profile, and I'm really excited. If you guys are liking what you're seeing, if this is fun for you, be sure and tell me in the chat box. Tell me what you're enjoying and how this has been helpful. Or if you need something else, let me know. I'm sorry if I didn't see some of your questions, but I'll look back through and see if I can answer some of them at the beginning of the next session. Okay, so we are going to take a break. We're going to be re-adjourning at 10:30. So you have 20 minutes to grab something to drink, get a little snack, move your body. You guys, come on, we're just like sitting here. I've got to move my body too. Okay, so let's move our bodies and get going. And then we'll come back. And you guys, you do not want to miss this next one. We are going to be meeting up with Daniela Remy, and she is our VP of Research, and she is the person who programs and does all the foods. And so it's going to be super, super exciting, okay? So love you guys and look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Mwah.